From using a $60 office chair over a high-end gaming chair to ditching extra monitors for zero distractions, these are 10 things Fortnite pros do that you don't, and some of these might actually surprise you, because while most people think being a pro is all about crazy hardware and flashy setups, the truth is the best players in the world focus more on simplicity and comfort than anything else. Most pros stack 2 or even 3 monitors to keep Discord live stream chat and other apps open while gaming, but for a select few, a single monitor setup is actually the preferred choice, and Peterbot is a prime example. Instead of using multiple screens, he sticks to just one monitor no matter which team house he's at, and the reason why is very simple. No distractions. Oh, and it basically mimics the environment you'd find at a LAN event, which is super important because it keeps his eyes on just the game and nothing else. And that's just as important as having a comfortable chair. Flashy gaming chairs with those bucket seats are becoming a thing of the past. Instead, more and more pros are switching to ergonomic office chairs that are not only more comfortable, but are surprisingly cheaper too. Even the best player in the world right now, who's earned a ridiculous amount of money, chooses to use one of the cheapest office chairs you can buy. Meanwhile, others like Mongrel and Booga have invested in higher-end office chairs like the Herman Miller ones, and it makes complete sense, because when they're grinding for hours and hours every single day, you need something that supports your back posture and shoulders properly, not something that just looks cool for marketing. A lot of those bucket seat designs were made for aesthetics, but in the long run they don't really offer the right support. Especially if you're playing 8 or 10 hours a day, you'll also find that even the most popular office chair brands like Herman Miller have started partnering up with gaming brands like Logitech, because even they've realized that gamers are starting to prefer ergonomic office chairs over typical gaming ones sitting comfortably, though isn't just about the chair. Your hands and wrists need proper support too. And that's where a wrist rest comes in. A lot of pros take wrist support seriously. And Peterbot, one of the best players ever, is one of them at his home setup. You can see that he uses the wrist rest that comes with his SteelSeries Apex Pro keyboard even when he's not at home. Say if he's at a LAN event, you'll also find him using the exact same wrist rest there. Even if he doesn't have it, he improvises by using his iPhone as a wrist rest. And surprisingly, it works really well. It's one of those small details that a lot of people overlook, but it makes a massive difference. If you've never tried a wrist rest before, it's something you genuinely have to try because it changes the way you play. It reduces strain fatigue and makes long gaming sessions more comfortable. For me personally, it was one of the biggest upgrades to my setup that I didn't expect, and now I can't play without one. I'll leave a link in the description below, where you can find wrist rests for different keyboard sizes, like 10 keyless or 60%, because finding one that fits perfectly makes all the difference. Speaking of keyboards though, their positioning and size play a huge role in comfort and performance. You'll notice that pro players position their keyboards at an angle or tilt, not only to create more space for horizontal mouse movements, but also to allow their entire arm to rest on the desk for stability without that tilt. Your elbow hangs off the desk, which feels awkward and uncomfortable, especially during long fights. And that's exactly why so many pros out there use non-full-size keyboards. They either use a 10 keyless or 60% layout if you've never heard of these before. They basically remove unnecessary keys for 10 keyless. The number pad is gone, and for 60%, you lose the function keys too. This makes both layouts smaller, lighter, and way more efficient for competitive players. It gives them room to move their mouse freely and line up those precise arm movements without bumping into anything. Some pros even go extreme with this. They'll tilt their 60% keyboards almost sideways or at a complete right angle, and for some players that might look crazy, but once you try it, it actually makes a lot of sense because it gives your mouse hand total freedom. The other thing that goes hand in hand with your keyboard setup is your mouse grip style and aiming technique. Peterbot, for example, uses what's called the 131 grip, where he places one finger on the left side, 3 on top, and 1 on the right. It looks kind of unusual, but it allows him to maintain better control over the scroll wheel, which, as you all No is crucial for fast wall resets in Fortnite. When you're editing and building, having that kind of control makes a massive difference. And it's why a lot of pros experiment with their grips until they find the one that feels most natural. But even then, it does come down to preference. However, when it comes to aiming, you'll find that most top players prefer arm aiming over wrist aiming because it gives them smoother, more consistent control across larger movements. And that's especially true when you're using a lower to medium sensitivity, which most pros do. Having your forearm on the desk instead of hovering allows you to be more stable, less jittery, and it helps avoid wrist fatigue after hours of practice. Plus, when you combine arm aiming with a massive mouse pad, it just feels more controlled. You can track smoother, edit faster, and aim more precisely in those mid-range shotgun fights now. In order to maintain those smooth mouse movements, it's important that your forearm glides effortlessly without friction. That's why some pro players use gaming sleeves. SWITCHY is one of the most famous examples. He's been wearing one for years, from early Fortnite days to now. And the reason why makes total sense. The sleeve reduces friction on your arm, keeps sweat from sticking to the desk, and helps your aim stay consistent even during long, hot gaming sessions. And if you live in a warm climate, it's an absolute game changer. Though it is a personal choice. Like, for example, Booga used to wear one all the time, but lately he doesn't. So it's something you've just got to test for yourself. One thing almost all pros agree on, though, is using a XXL or XXL mouse pad. These are essential because they give you enough surface area for long arm movements without hitting the edge or running out of room. And since most pros are arm aimers, a large mouse pad prevents them from losing tracking or missing crucial edits during fights. Ideally, you want a mouse pad that covers your entire desk. Those are very popular, but if your desk space is limited, at least get one that's wide enough for your keyboard and mouse together. It'll still make a huge difference. Another surprisingly common item that pros use might sound weird, but it's honestly genius, and that's a lint roller. You know those sticky rollers used to clean clothes? Well, pros actually take them to LAN events. And no, they're not rolling their clothes before they play. They're using them to clean their mouse pads between matches. If you've ever had pets or eat near your setup, you know dust and small debris can get stuck on your mouse pad without realizing it. And even a single hair can interfere with your mouse sensor. That tiny inconsistency can actually affect your micro adjustments. So keeping your mouse pad spotless is crucial. That's why you'll see players literally rolling their mouse pads before major games to keep them perfectly smooth and fast. If you've never done it before, just try it once, and you'll immediately notice how clean and consistent your glide feels. It's such a small tip, but it's a real pro-level detail. Now, the last thing that pros often take to LAN events might surprise you even more, and that's gaming glasses. Quitxn is a perfect example. He's been using these since the World Cup back in 2019, and even recently got sponsored by Gunner, the same company he used back then. Now these glasses are starting to appear more and more at LANs and tournaments, and the reason is actually really simple. They block blue light that comes from monitors, which over long periods can cause serious eye strain by wearing them. Especially during long scrims or tournaments, players can reduce that fatigue and stay locked in for longer sessions. A lot of people think these are just gimmicks, but pros who've been playing for years swear by them, because when you're spending 8 or 10 hours a day grinding Fortnite, your eyes take a beating, and any way to protect them is worth it overall. All of these setup optimizations may seem small, like who cares about a wrist rest or a sleeve or an office chair, but when you combine them together, they can have a massive impact on comfort, focus, and performance. Every single one of these small things adds up, and that's what separates pros from casual players. They don't just rely on aim or mechanics. They build an environment that helps them perform at their absolute best, whether that's reducing distractions by using a single monitor, switching to an ergonomic chair to improve posture, or even cleaning their mouse pad. Before every session, it's all about creating a setup that supports consistency and comfort. So if you want to take your game more seriously, maybe it's time to start thinking less about flashy RGB gear and more about practicality. Because at the end of the day, the best setup is the one that helps you play better for longer. And if that means using a $60 office chair instead of a $500 gaming chair, so be it, because clearly the pros are doing something right. So if you want to perform like a pro, it might be time to start adopting some of these habits. Try them out and see which ones work for you, and who knows, maybe a few of these